Pues empezamos bien, ¿no? Empezamos bien.
Are people afraid of you, Beth?
Uh-huh.
Who's afraid of you, Beth?
John.
Your brother. And what is your brother? Why is your brother afraid of you?
Because I hurt him so much.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what at nighttime? What do your parents do to your door?
Lock it shut.
Why do they lock it shut?
Because they don't want me to hurt John.
Right. And they're kind of afraid of.
Mira, es una cosa que he detectado. Los parpadeos en los seres humanos, hay dos tipos de parpadeo, que uno es el parpadeo más analítico, que es cuando hacemos así, y otro es el parpadeo un poco más emocional, que es cuando hacemos así, ¿no? Si os fijáis mucho, cuando yo estoy hablando de cuestiones un poco más emocionales, yo que tengo los ojos así muy grandes, que parece que tengo dos antenas, siempre cuando hablo de una cuestión emocional, que yo en algún vídeo que me he visto, siempre tiendo a cerrar con un parpadeo lento. Y luego está el parpadeo más analítico, que es un poco más rápido. Aquí ella, si os fijáis, está con la mirada completamente sin parpadeo. Eso lo puedes hacer cuando estás mintiendo en exceso, que te quedes así. Sí, claro, yo no he sido. No, yo no robé las chucherías de la panadería, para nada. O puede ser que no tengas ninguna respuesta emocional por dentro en lo que está ocurriendo. Eso es un detalle a tener en cuenta en relación a la niña. Fijaros que no ha parpadeado en ningún momento. Y para que a mí me capte eso, quiere decir que llama la atención, ¿eh?
They don't want me to hurt John.
Right. And they're kind of afraid of hurting John? Of you hurting John?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are they afraid?
Habéis visto lo
you
que
might
tarda en
hurt them?
parpadear, ¿no?
Yep.
Would you, Beth?
Mm-hmm.
When would you do it?
Nighttime.
Okay. Why would you do nighttime?
Because I don't like them seeing me do it. But they can feel me do it.
Mm-hmm. And what would you do to him, Beth?
Stab them.
Okay. What would you stab him with?
A knife.
The program you are about to see was compiled from the actual therapy tapes of Dr. Ken McGidd, a clinical psychologist specializing in the treatment of severely abused children. Children so traumatized in the first years of life that they do not bond with other people. They are children who cannot love or accept love. Children without conscience who can hurt or even kill without remorse. This film shows the devastating effects of abuse on a child. It also shows that victims can be helped. It is the story of a 6.5-year-old girl named Beth.
Do you ever stick pins in people?
Mm-hmm.
Who?
My brother.
Okay. Do you do it a little bit or a lot?
A lot.
Okay. And what are you trying to do to your brother?
Kill him.
Why do you want your brother to die?
Because I was hurt so bad. And I don't want to be around people.
Okay. Who else would you like to stick pins into?
Fijaos en la boca PSICOPSIQUIS, que tiene, fíjate, para ser una niña tan chiquitita, tiene una boca tendencia a la amargura o a la frustración. No es una boca de un niño normal. Una boca de un niño normal tiende a la rectitud, y ya sabemos que las bocas del narcisista o del psicópata o de gente frustrada o que lucha contra la vida puede tener un arco hacia abajo. Por ejemplo, este arco puede tener mucho que ver con algo de indignación frente a la vida o el momento presente de forma continuada, y al final se te queda como, como las comisuras hacia abajo. Ponedme aquí si vuestro psicópata o vuestro narcisista de turno, el monstruito con el que estabais, tenía el arco hacia abajo. Storm dice que sí. Los 5 Rodríguez. también. Sandra Fer no se pronuncia. Mi ex sí, Anita sí. Bueno, la sonrisa histriónica, eso ya habría que verlo exactamente. No lo recuerdo. Sí. Tiene tal, no el arco que es que tenía gesto en la cara del general. Ajá. Cara y ojos, ¿ok? Vale. Bueno, pues un apunte para que estamos aquí estudiando. Seguimos.
Mommy and Daddy.
What would you like to have happen to them?
Die.
Jesus couldn't have lived to save Israel, yet he chose to die to save the world.
Tim is the minister of a small Methodist church in the South. He and his wife Julie have been married for 12 years.
Jesus didn't say
Unable to have children of their own, they decided to adopt. In February of 1984, they received a call from the Department of Social Services telling them they had 2 children available for adoption. They were told that Beth, 19 months old, and her brother Jonathan, 7 months old.
Os voy a contar una cosa un poco fuerte, ¿vale? Psicokillers. Al parecer, en adopción, esto yo me enteré porque conocí 2 personas que estaban buscando adopciones para niños. Hay niños que nacen de madres y padres con una enfermedad de transmisión sexual, del VIH. Bueno, es que al final la estoy liando. Entonces los niños pequeñitos, al parecer los bebés con esa enfermedad que nacen porque se la traslada directamente a la madre, no los quiere nadie para adoptarlos porque vienen enfermitos. Pero lo que no sabe la gente es que en la mayoría de los casos estos lo metabolizan de alguna forma y al año se pierden totalmente cualquier rastro del virus VIH, perdón. Es así, que si no es VHS, que son las casetes y lo VIH, ¿no? Y de esa manera los padres que sí aceptan los niños con esta enfermedad tienen más posibilidades de adoptarlos de primera instancia y luego tienen al final un niño sano. Yo tuve la suerte de conocer una chica chiquitita que la habían adquirido los padres con estas características y lamentablemente había sufrido cuestiones de gentuza cuando era pequeñita. No quiero entrar en cuestiones escabrosas, pero básicamente ya os podéis imaginar de qué estamos hablando. Y había desarrollado ella una mala gestión de las relaciones personales, que cada vez que se subía con un chico en brazos no paraba de intentar darle besos en la boca. Yo recuerdo que la tenía y era un bebé, tenía 2 añitos y la niña todo el rato me intentaba besar en la boca de las cosas que le habían hecho, ¿no? Y bueno, este apunto os lo digo para que sepáis, no sé ni cómo nombrarlo, pero la gentuza que hay por el mundo, que ya lo sabéis, pero bueno. Seguimos.
Were normal and healthy.
we did not need children to make our lives complete. We felt secure in ourselves and secure in our relationship, but we wanted to share that with somebody else. And we felt like we had a lot to pass on to a child, and that was what we really wanted to do. And when the phone call came, it was like, at last it's here.
It seemed like a miracle. It had happened so quick. We'd heard of couples having to wait 5-10 years on a child.
Aquí el tema de que si la psicopatía, ya un niño nace psicópata o es por una cuestión de entorno y educación social, hay psicólogos que defienden más la parte biológica y hay especialistas que defienden más la parte conductual o el entorno social o las creencias arraigadas o la parte educacional. No está demostrado como tal cuál es la razón de que una persona salga psicópata. Yo sí opino, siempre se habla de cuestiones neuronales, cuestiones educacionales, incluso que puede haber que influye algún tipo de factor genético. Pero yo creo que un psicópata como tal, como cuando describimos un psicópata en Psicopsiquis, sin hablar de comorbilidades y que compartan dentro de una persona ambos trastornos, como el narcisista y psicópata o psicópata narcisista, Hay un vídeo muy importante, Psicopsiquis, que se llama Diferencia entre psicópata, sociópata y narcisista, que os recomiendo enormemente que veáis. Cuando ya hablamos en Psicopsiquis del psicópata puro, porque yo intento hacer los personajes por separado, yo creo que es que si ya nacen de esa manera de una cuestión estructural y que es algo ya más temperamental y biológico, más que un comportamiento adquirido por una educación. No quiere decir que no se pueda hacer una persona psicópata o que haga una gestión emocional diferente o que no tenga recursos para afrontar una realidad abusiva o sin límites y que de esta manera se pueda convertir en un psicópata en su infancia o incluso adolescencia. Pero yo creo que mayormente lo que es la gente que está estructuralmente dañada o con diferentes formaciones cuando es pequeña y nace con otra dimensión temperamental son los psicópatas puros.
And here we had 2 young children. It was like the answer to our dream.
Their dream became a nightmare when they realized that Beth and Jonathan had severe emotional problems.
We had the kids with us, Beth and her younger brother John, for probably a couple of months until we began to learn something about their background and their past. And when we learned it, some things seemed to fall in place about her behavior and John's behavior. From several sources, we discovered that they didn't have enough food to eat. That perhaps even Beth went all day maybe with just a box of Kick cereal. John himself was found in a bassinet with little patches of urine all over it and a dirty diaper and a couple of bottles at his feet that had curdled milk, and the back of his head was completely flat. The front of his head had bulged out, and at 7 months he couldn't raise his head, couldn't roll up.
Perdona si le voy a repetir esto porque no me he enterado. Como está en inglés y se me cruza leeros en el chat y tal, pues me quiero enterar del documental, que está interesante, ¿vale? Lo vamos a repetir un poquito. Perdonad. Joder. Es que eso, mira, yo que tengo mucha apertura mental y tiendo a la extroversión, pues estamos fastidiados. Venga.
Services, telling them they had 2 children available for adoption. They were told that Beth, 19 months old, and her brother Jonathan, 7 months old, were normal and healthy.
We did not need children to make our lives complete. We felt secure in ourselves and secure in our relationship, but we wanted to share that with somebody else. And we felt like we had a lot to pass on to a child, and that was what we really wanted to do. And when the phone call came, it was like, at last it's here.
And it seemed like a miracle. It had happened so quick. We'd heard of couples having to wait 5-10 years on a child, and here we had 2 young children. It was like the answer to our dream.
Their dream became a nightmare when they realized that Beth and Jonathan had severe emotional problems.
We had the kids with us, Beth and her younger brother John, for probably a couple of months until we began to learn something about their background and their past. And when we learned it, some things seemed to fall in place about her behavior and John's behavior. From several sources, we discovered that they didn't have enough food to eat. That perhaps even Beth went all day maybe with just a box of Kick cereal. John himself was found in a bassinet with little patches of urine all over it and a dirty diaper and a couple of bottles at his feet that had curdled milk, and the back of his head was completely flat. The front of his head had bulged out, and at 7 months he couldn't raise his head, couldn't roll over. He was just had no stimulation. And we think perhaps that had happened to Beth, and it wasn't very long until she began showing some signs of perhaps even some abuse. There was a nightmare that she had, and the nightmare was about a man who was falling on her and hurting her with a part of himself.
Tell me about your birth father. What was that nightmare like?
When he touched my vagina
Okay.
until it bled, hurt it a lot until it bled, and wouldn't feed me a lot. He'd hit on me, wouldn't be very nice to me.
How old were you?
1.
And in your nightmare, what happens?
I get real scared.
Where are you in the nightmare? What happens in the dream?
I'm in the house, upstairs.
And then what happens, Beth?
When he comes upstairs and, hurts.
How do you feel when you talk about this?
Scared.
Where's your birth father? What's he doing?
He's right there, and there's his hand. His hand's right there.
Where?
Right there. You can't hardly see it because it's green.
What's it touching?
My vaginas.
And what is your birth father doing?
Hurting it.
Your face looks sad. Can you tell me about that?
It's crying because there's dots of the tears.
Beth had endured severe neglect and abuse as a child. Her birth mother died when she was 1. Because of these early childhood experiences, Beth never developed a sense of conscience, love, or trust.
PSICOPSIQUIS, si queréis lo quito del documental, porque, a ver, la idea yo en Twitch es que nos estemos riendo. Yo creo, si queréis lo quito y pongo otra cosa. Porque estas son cosas muy duras y no tenía yo... no quería que lo pasaseis mal. O sea, yo la idea en Twitch no tengo esta idea. Quiero que estemos de cachondeo, porque también a mí me pone mal cuerpo todo este tema. Entonces, si me decís, si queréis lo quitamos, si queréis lo terminamos, quedan 20 minutos. O si queréis pongo otra cosa, o si queréis cierro el chiringo, lo que me pidáis, Ya, es bueno aprender. O sea, está claro. Yo creo que sí, pero hay veces que no estamos todos preparados para hablar de estos temas. Yo, que incluso trabajo con todo este tipo de temas y he llevado casos muy complicados de todo esto, hay cosas que me han desbordado, que ni siquiera he podido estar preparado. Y trabajo con mucho sufrimiento todos los días. Incluso esto me está conmoviendo, Entonces yo no sé vosotros cómo tenéis el estómago para que sigamos. A ver, venga, dadme... Vamos a hacer una encuesta de votación o cómo se hace esto. No se puede, ya no sé manejarlo. Ya estoy perdido. Bueno, lo dejamos ya. Lo que queráis, Si no, hacemos otra cosa. Si sabéis que yo soy un cachondo, me pongo a hacer el tonto y os animamos. Vale, venga, vale. Vale, venga. Seguimos entonces, ¿vale?
Anyone. The early sexual abuse by her birth father would cause her to exhibit inappropriate sexual behavior, especially toward her brother.
Does your brother have private parts?
Yeah.
Yeah? What is his private parts?
Penis and butt.
And what do you do with your brother, with his private parts, Beth?
I heard it.
Tell me about it. What do you do?
Now, I pinch it, squeeze it, kick it.
When you do things to your brother's private parts, what does he say?
Stop.
Okay, tell me that.
Well, he says stop, but I don't stop.
Do you hurt him?
A lot.
Okay. And would you like to do that to other boys?
When I caught her with Jonathan one morning, she was molesting him. He was crying and his pants were down, and I said, Beth, what's happening? And she said, I pulled his penis and put my finger up his anus. And I said, didn't he say to stop? And she said, yeah, he did. And I said, did you? And she said, no.
Have you ever rubbed your private parts?
Mm-hmm.
Do you do it a lot?
A lot.
How much do you do that?
About every single day, and that's until I did it every single day until it got real bad, and I stopped, and I had to go to the doctor, and I did not like it.
What do you mean by real bad?
Well, it looked real raw, got all kinds of boo-boos on it, germs, a lot of stuff on my hand.
And it bled?
Mm-hmm.
She started to masturbate at inappropriate times. I remember one time, specifically, when we were at the hospital waiting for Tim to come out. He was there visiting. And Beth and John were in the back seat, and I turned around, and she had her legs spread and was masturbating in a public parking lot. And I had tried to explain to her numerous times before that that's private area. You don't do it in public places. And gone over that with her, and it never seemed to faze her. And
Julie, how often would your daughter masturbate?
daily, constantly.
Do you have animals, Beth?
4 of them.
Can you tell me their names?
Clyde, Shuggy, Darcy, and Annie. And Daddy said a day ago that there was a stray cat who did not have a home, so Daddy was taking care of it and took it to the vet when he had his flight to go.
And what do you do to the animals, Beth?
Stick them with pins.
Do you stick them a little bit or a lot?
A lot.
What are you trying to do to the animals, Beth?
Kill them.
What do they do when you stick them with the pins?
Well, Annie cries. She's a dog.
She got baby birds down out of the nest, and we thought maybe she was just curious. So we explained that she could hurt them, put them back, and went through a whole sitting down and talking to her about the problem of it. And the next day we went out to check the baby birds, and they were on the ground dead with their necks broken.
Let's talk about what happened once when you were smaller, when you found some baby birds in a tree. What did you do then?
I took them out.
Mm-hmm. And what did Mom say to you?
That the mother will not come back if somebody touches her baby.
Mm-hmm. Are the baby birds kind of small? Can you describe them for me?
Well, they don't have their eyes open, but they can hear me, and they look up.
Are they kind of helpless? Little baby birds? Can they fly?
No.
Can they run away?
Yes.
They can? Are they easy to catch or hard to catch?
Hard.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to remember. With the baby birds, what did you do?
Took them out of the tree.
And what did you do with them?
Played around too rough. Also, when at the end, I picked it up and I thought it was Dad, and I came to say, Mommy, is this bird dead? And she said, she called Daddy and said, Tim, and Daddy came and, I think I remember that they said yes.
Mm-hmm. And so the little baby birds die?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
I just remember that I think I remember that Mommy and Daddy said the last bird we got was dead.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what Mom said to me? She said that all of them were dead. Did you squeeze them Did Baby Beth squeeze them? You're doing a good job, honey. Go ahead and tell me what happened.
I squeezed them.
And what happened?
They died.
But this kind of aggression at our animals and even at our brother Jonathan was beginning to grow to such an excess that our life was miserable at home. John would cry in the mornings and say his stomach hurt. For the longest time, we thought maybe this child has some problem with his intestinal area, or maybe he has allergies, and so we tried to get all that checked out. Come to find out, Beth was coming out of her room and hitting him in the stomach. And so, as a last resort, just to protect him, we had to tie our door shut. So I guess for the last 3 or 4 months now, we've had to tie her in at night, sort of barricade her.
The repercussions of Beth's tragic childhood led to uncontrollable rage. Despite the love and nurturing of her adoptive parents, she took this rage out on herself, on her brother, and on them. Her acts of violence became more and more cruel and frightening.
Well, I noticed several, like paring knives in the kitchen, missing. And my first thought was Beth. And I felt a little guilty about it at first. I thought, nah. But I really didn't even mention it to her. They'd been gone several weeks. She was sitting at the table drawing and mentioned to me, "What do those knives look like that are gone, Mom?" And I said, "What knives, Beth?" And she said, "Weren't they kind of silver and about this big?" And I knew then, and then this little smile that's not a sweet smile, but a malicious type of smile. And I knew then, I thought, she's got them.
Tell me about the knives. Where did you get them?
From the drawer.
And where else? Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about it.
I got them from the dishwasher.
What kind of knives?
Big sharp ones.
And what do you want to do with those knives?
Kill John and Mommy with them, and Daddy.
And when Mommy asks you about where the knives are, what do you say?
I don't know where they are.
What did you think she might do with the knives?
My first thought was Jonathan.
And the reason we thought that was that by this time, she had tried to kill John on several occasions and openly admitted that.
In the basement, she was hitting his head against a cement floor. I heard his screams and ran down and had to literally pull her hands off, and she looked wild-eyed.
Did you get real mad at him? Did you hit his head real hard? Tell me about it. How many times did you do it? A lot? What was the floor like?
Cement.
And what happened to your brother? Tell me about it.
His head hurt real bad, but his chin, he had to have stitches in it.
Could you stop? Use your words, Beth.
No.
Okay. What was your brother doing when you were doing this?
Playing with the toys.
Okay. Was he asking you to stop when you were doing it? What was he saying?
He said, "Beth, stop."
And what did you do?
I didn't stop. I just kept on hurting him.
What were you thinking when you were doing that?
Thinking of killing him.
How did you stop? What made you stop?
When I heard Peter walking across the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
It made me stop because I thought Mommy and Daddy would come.
Okay. Did Mommy come? What did she do?
She sent me to my room.
Okay. And what if Mom didn't stop you? What would you have done?
Kept on doing it.
And what about...
After evaluating the extent of Beth's psychological problems, Dr. McGid felt that for the well-being of the family, Beth needed to be temporarily separated from them. In April of 1989, her parents brought her to a special home with an expert at raising children with early attachment disorders, especially children who are dangerous to themselves and others.
I have children that have killed numerous times. Cold-blooded family members, neighbor children, killed them. And they can do it. Makes my blood run cold just thinking about 9 years old. People don't think a 9-year-old is capable of cold-blooded murder, but they are. That attachment break does severe damage to the heart, the ability to care and the ability to love. If they don't care and they don't love, they're capable of anything.
Perdonad que os pregunte, Psychopkillers. A ver, en Psychopsiquis ya sabéis que hacemos una radiografía de la personalidad muy potente, o eso intento hacer yo con todos los vídeos. Si os fijáis, muchas veces distingo entre psicópatas, entre narcisistas, a veces digo psicópata narcisista, a veces digo sociópata. En muchos vídeos voy mezclándolos porque al final, siempre os lo digo, son mierdas de diferente color, que es lo que utilizo yo en clave de humor. Pero alguno de vosotros, sin dar explicaciones ni meternos en el meollo de lo que os ha ocurrido y demás, ha estado con, o creéis, los que hayáis visto bien el canal de Psychopsiquis y estéis puestos en el mensaje que yo doy. ¿Habéis estado alguna de vosotras con un psicópata puro? Vale, Spirit sí. Vea Psiquis, sí. Rodríguez tiene duda. Estáis con dos creos. Debo y Chris Psiquis. No lo sé, no lo tengo claro. Bueno, si tenéis dudas, podéis pedir conmigo una consulta privada y seguramente en una consulta lo saquemos, Psychokillers, os lo digo en serio. Si te queréis resolver el enigma, os puedo echar una buena mano. Y necesita así. Con lo que dices, sí, segurísimo. Vale. Vale, bueno, ahí más o menos tal. Es que un psicópata puro como tal no es tan común. O sea, los rasgos psicopáticos o el narcisismo con toques perversos, eso yo lo considero que están a modo más integrado socialmente, y son unos perra, ¿no? Y hace mucho daño emocional, que vamos, esta cruzada que tengo con Psychopsiquis es porque bueno, cuando yo viví la historia que viví, sentí alta indignación de que existiesen personas de este estilo. Y luego, bueno, pues yo ya tenía formación en psicología de la personalidad, yo venía estudiando coaching, PNL, un montón de historias. Y ya lo que hice fue ampliar la formación y también ya fundar Psychopsiquis para hacer el trabajo e intentar que la gente no viva este tipo de cuestiones. Pero son altamente destructivas estas personas y yo me lo tomo muy en serio. Yo os pido que compartáis mucho lo que es el contenido de Psychopsiquis porque considero que está muy bien. Seguimos.
We're very strict about everything. Everything is completely monitored. We take complete control because a child who's unattached does not trust. And because they don't trust, they don't allow anybody to be boss of them. So we take complete control. They are not boss of anything. They have to ask to get a drink of water. They have to ask to go to the bathroom. They have to ask to leave our sight. Part of that is because we cannot trust them because of the damage that they've done before.
Beth, would you like to say grace, please?
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this good day and everybody doing good. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. They believe that they're evil. They believe they're from the devil. They believe that they are not a person of value. And we have to change that, and we have to build that from a child who's nothing, who's a bad kid in their own mind, to a child who's valuable and loving, and they see themselves as that.
You don't have to bite this.
When they do a chore well, we can say, you did a good job, you're a good worker. And then it just builds that self-esteem little by little so that they change the way that they see themselves.
Several months into treatment in this controlled environment, Beth had made progress, and her therapist decided to loosen some of the controls.
Anybody wants some more? I've seen that.
Beth continued to show signs of improvement. She began to develop a sense of right and wrong. She seemed to respond to affection, was more outgoing. She went to public school, made friends at the local church, and even sang in the choir.
And you're going to go into Sunday school in this morning?
Yeah.
To get stickers? Maybe you could put one on your nose.
So the people couldn't see what Messiah ought to be. So your word contained the plan. They just could not understand.
La verdad que canta bien la niña, ¿eh? Yo tengo la teoría de que las personas, a ver, hay cantantes que son muy buenos, y Spirit también canta de maravilla, pero yo creo que cuando hay una respuesta emocional menor es más fácil afinar, y por eso creo que hay personas con perfil de empatía bajo que pueden cantar muy bien, porque no está pensando ni qué dirá el público, ni a ver si lo estoy haciendo bien, no se cuestionan, no, simplemente se dejan llevar. Bueno, eso ya son unas teorías ya muy enrevesadas que yo tengo, que un día si queréis nos metemos con ella y con profesiones y con diferentes perfiles de personalidad. Seguimos.
That's Elijah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a beard. See his beard. There's his nose, and that's his...
Oh, I see.
Yeah, see his beard is kind of flowing in the wind and everything. Elijah taken up into heaven, the fiery chariot. Huh? Well, that's Elisha. That's the other prophet that took Elijah's place. And he was left, and there's Elijah, you know. And he learned about sheep, and the Lord is my shepherd. Mm-hmm. March 3rd, you just got that yesterday, huh?
In the beginning, we couldn't trust her with anything. She was locked up at night. We had alarms on the door at night so she wasn't sneaking around doing things with the other children. We don't worry about that anymore. There's no alarm on her door at night now. She sleeps in the same room with my own daughter, and I trust her that much. She brushes the dogs, and I trust her that much. Because she has earned that trust. She's learned it. She has a heart, and she has a love inside, and she feels bad when she does something now. In the past, because she didn't have a conscience, she didn't feel anything when she did something bad. There was just no feeling there. And now she does feel bad, and it shows in her face. I believe that Beth can make it. She's got a really bright mind. She's got a good heart now, which has done a lot of healing. She's got a really super set of parents. They're powerful, they're knowledgeable, they're motivated. She's done a lot of good work with you in therapy, with Canal and with myself. She wants to heal, and that's the #1 key. And she wants to heal because she has a family that really cares about her, and she wants to be with them.
Do you know where that anger came from?
That's when my dad hurt me. I had it all inside, and I remembered it, and I started doing it.
And what did that do when it was inside?
It made me want to hurt people really bad.
And who did you hurt?
My brother, my mom and dad, and animals. And animals.
Who did it hurt the most?
My brother.
Who did it hurt the most?
Me.
Why don't you tell me that?
It hurt me the most.
How did it hurt you the most?
because when I hurt other people, I'm hurting my, itself. How do you feel right now, Dad? Sad.
It's kind of tough to talk about, isn't it?
Yes.
Beth gave her last interview for this film in December of 1989. Although she had made progress, she would still need extensive therapy. Not all abused children are as deeply scarred as Beth, but all abused children suffer a profound hurt for the rest of their lives. The road to recovery is long and hard for the abused child. There are more than 1 million new victims of child abuse in America every year.
Pues me ha dejado un cuerpo jodilla esto, Psico Killers, la verdad.